Hello, my name is Paige. I started out my career as a teacher in the Sea to Sky School District, where I had my very first kindergarten class, and I never thought I would be a kindergarten teacher, but after having that class, I knew that kindergarten was where I wanted to be working. I'm currently in Australia working as a casual teacher. I have been for the last year and a half, and I'm really looking forward to bringing this whole new breadth of knowledge from the Australian school system and the curriculum back to BC and hopefully the Sea to Sky School District. Today I will be discussing 3 topics that are currently being widely researched in education and particularly in kindergarten. And I've decided to focus on these 3 topics because I'm very passionate about them and therefore they're at the forefront of my philosophy and my teaching pedagogy. So the first one is nature-based learning. I look at nature-based learning as taking children outdoors for learning experiences, but also bringing nature into the classroom. Taking children outdoors might look like a nature walk, building snow forts if you have snow, collecting and counting pine cones and rocks and stones outside for a great math inquiry lesson, or even just planting and watering the garden. To bring nature indoors, you can simply bring more natural materials and manipulatives into the classroom, or even better, take children outside to collect a variety of natural materials to keep in the classroom for further exploration. I really like to bring in pine cones at the beginning of the year and do an inquiry experience where children take their magnifying glass and they just have the colors that they see in crayon and they just draw. And they inspect with the magnifying glass and they draw the pine cone. And it's a beautiful experience. Nature-based kindergarten programs have been in practice for a fair while, particularly in countries like Finland. And as the BC curriculum becomes progressive and focuses more on inquiry and play-based learning practices, I believe it's becoming easier for us educators to incorporate nature in more authentic ways as well. Because children are naturally curious, so when we take them outside, it stimulates their wonder and inquiry immediately, and it satisfies all of their senses. Being outdoors teaches skills that aren't necessarily as easily taught in the classroom, because in nature, skills are learned through authentic, tangible experiences and context-based challenges. These authentic experiences allow children to more easily apply these skills to their daily lives. When you're thinking of developing an outdoor program, it needs to be really well planned. Once you have that great plan, communicate it with colleagues, other teachers, parents, and this can be a great way to involve parents because you can invite them into the classroom for these outdoor learning experiences. There are so many benefits to being in the outdoors outside of traditional learning outcomes that will help to develop the whole child. Risky play outdoors actually frames risk more positively for children, so they're more likely to take risks. It helps develop a connection and a relationship between oneself and nature. Children become more physically active when they're out in nature. It can give them personal and emotional resilience. It can help them fight stress. They can become more mindful of the present moment. It has a plethora of incredible benefits to each individual child and to us adults as well. So this overall regular exposure in nature is really important for children in developing their capacity to solve problems, be creative, and grow intellectually. And this is a great segue into the next thing I wanted to talk about, which is play-based learning. Now, play-based learning is very much connected to nature-based learning because you can play in nature, you can play indoors, and using natural materials is really a hands-on experience, so children really do play when they're in nature. Play-based learning really draws on a child's natural curiosity and inquisitive mind, and it's actually an intentional experience. So what I mean by that is, when we create these intentional play-based experiences for children, this allows for these opportunities to tie into the curriculum while still being meaningful for the children. So if you have a well-planned play-based program, it is going to draw on the interests and passions of your students. You're going to connect with them and get to know them. When you get to know these ideas extend and create new experiences for the children. And it makes these experiences individual to each child's individuality. Creating various learning environments, both indoor and outdoors, for play-based experiences. Intentional play can happen anywhere. Children are so inquisitive and they wonder about everything. And it allows children to just play independently and also self-select materials and be really, truly independent and responsible for themselves. There are many benefits to play-based learning. It leads to greater social, emotional, and academic success. It's a normal and natural way for a child to construct knowledge and understanding and develop skills and make sense of the world. It allows children to construct their own understandings of the world by making these connections and making connections to past experiences as well. And then being able to apply all these beautiful new experiences to new experiences in their own lives and apply them to future experiences they'll have. And it also allows for scaffolding to naturally occur through collaborative experiences. I was reading an article from Early Childhood Australia where they discuss a variety of definitions of play, and I thought it was really interesting. They said there was no one definition of play, but there are a number of agreed characteristics that describe the play. These descriptors were that it can be pleasurable, or it should be pleasurable. It should be symbolic, so pretend. It should be active, so you're always doing something. Voluntary, so independent and freely chosen and based on children's own interests. And open-ended, just playing for the sake of playing. And then at the end of all of that, it is self-motivating, so children become intrinsically motivated because they enjoy the play so much that they then enjoy the learning as well. The last thing I wanted to talk about today also connects to nature-based and play-based learning, because you need this in order to have powerful and effective, meaningful learning experiences outdoors and in play-based experiences for your students. So what I'm talking about is creating a great connection between families and the school, or the teacher, and the teacher, I should say. So family, student, and teacher. It's the triangle of the student's school career. And so having a relationship with the family is just as important as the relationship that you'll foster with each of your students. So I believe that this is of the utmost importance as educators, is building relationships with students and their families. As a teacher, I try to make significant efforts to develop relationships with my students and really get to know their interests. And in doing this, creating these relationships, teachers can really plan authentic play-based and nature-based programs for their students that come from a place of prior knowledge and interest for the students, so they're already more engaged. To foster this relationship, it's really important to create a safe and caring classroom environment. And you can do this by co-constructing a set of classroom guidelines with your students about how to treat each other and how to treat the teacher and how to treat other adults who come into the space and how to treat the materials in our space. Allowing students to really be part of creating that safe, positive, caring classroom environment gives them more ownership over it as well. Self-regulation and the zones of regulation are key parts in starting discussions around emotions in any kindergarten classroom. And through developing these self-regulation strategies and emotional management skills in students, They feel safe to express emotions, take risks, and seek help. Building relationships with parents and families is just as important. Through regular communication, inviting families into the classroom, sending activities home for families to do, phone calls home, texts home, teachers can build really strong connections with families. For example, at the beginning of the school year, send home a student and family information packet that's all about the family and all about the student. That's the information that is essential for you as the teacher to have, but that also allows families and children to work on the activity together. So you're creating the bond between student and parent, or student and guardian, and then sending that back to school, creating that triangle connection mentioned before. This connection between home and school is imperative to help students be successful. And as the educator, it's our job to build a relationship where both families and teachers work as a team, and successes and opportunities for improvement are shared. So we construct this knowledge together as a team. With this new technology we have, it makes it easier for emails, classroom blogs, and other online formative assessment sites for families to use. They can track their children's learning and empower them to have a more comprehensive understanding of their child's life. This is just a little bit about these 3 really important topics in kindergarten education right now, and topics that are important to myself as well. I believe nature-based learning, play-based learning, and building relationships with families and students are some of the best ways to create meaningful, authentic learning experiences for students and to make them excited to come to school every day. And that's all I believe that we want as educators, is to inspire our students and instill a passion and a love for lifelong learning.